I just hit record.
All right, perfect. Okay, well, welcome everyone. We're assembled today to talk about this upcoming summer's road program. We're excited about it. We think it's going to really benefit the city, and we want to go through the details and talk about what impact it might have on you as residents and how you can participate in the program if you choose to do that. So I'll start out with introductions. My name is Marcus McNamara. I'm with OHM. We are the city engineer for the city of Dexter. We have Justin Breyer as the city manager. Justin?
Hi, everyone. I'm Justin. I'm the city manager. And as we go through this presentation, we're setting everyone to automatically mute and for you not to be able to mute yourselves, just so we can get through the presentation. But if you have any questions, you can type them in chat, or when we get to that point, you can raise your hands, and we'll unmute folks so they can ask their questions.
Yes, thank you for that. And then we have Josh, assistant city manager, is the right-hand man, Justin's right-hand man. Josh? I believe he's on, is he not?
He is.
Yep, I'm here. I was just, whenever you're trying to use it on the phone and switch between the computer and the phone, sometimes, you forget where the buttons are at. But I hope everyone's doing good, and we're excited to provide this information for everybody.
Okay. And then we have Tim Stewart is the public services superintendent.
Hi, yep. Just like everybody else, we're happy to have everybody here tonight, and hopefully can answer some questions if anybody has any.
And then we have Chris Tonikowski is with OHM. He's in our field services division, and he's going to be the primary point of contact as this project gets built.
Yep, Kristen Akuski, and that is my cell phone number. So if you have any questions during the construction, don't feel free to call.
And then finally, we have Reith Riley, who is not on the call this evening, but they are the general contractor that's going to be performing the work. So you'll see their trucks and their superintendent around once the project gets going. Okay, so the agenda, we wanted to cover the project overview, the general schedule, explain where the work is going to be taking place, talk a little bit about what we're doing and why. These are asphalt streets, so the mill and overlay process, what that all entails. And then a big piece of the project this year is the optional resident component. If you want to opt in to get some additional work done with what we feel are very competitive prices that the city was able to procure through the contract. So we'll get into the details on that, and then we will finish up with any questions that anybody has. So I'll start out. So the bulk of the project is road resurfacing work in the Dexter Crossing subdivision. Carrington, and I have a graphic here in a minute that will highlight the streets, but it's Carrington Drive, South Downs Drive, Covington Circle, and Preston Circle. We are, in addition to those streets that are getting resurfaced, doing concrete work throughout both subdivision, or I guess all three subdivisions, Dexter Crossing, Huron Farms, and the Orchard River Hills. So this is the graphic I mentioned. We have a couple of different types of work that are going to be happening. They're color coded here, so that's based on the depth of the asphalt that's going to be removed and replaced. So you can see here we have a range from basically 5-inch of the full depth of the road cross section to partial room replacement. Everything within the color coded areas here will have whatever concrete work is necessary to support that road resurfacing. And as I mentioned before, the concrete work can also be done outside of the limits of what's highlighted here. So if you got something in the mail, you would be any one of these blue properties here. Again, going back to the other map, the road resurfacing is only a portion of this, but we did want to offer the opportunity for anybody within these subdivisions to opt into the program for driveway and sidewalk work. As I mentioned before, Reith Riley is the primary contractor, general contractor. We don't have a defined schedule from them yet. That will be shared as soon as we have it. But what we can tell you is the contract requirement dates is basically while school's out, right? So they're allowed to start in mid-June and they need to be done by mid-August, by the end of August. So that's the window of construction that you're going to see. If you do have concrete work either in your driveway or the curb across the frontage of your house, that is going to take your driveway out of service for about a week. That's really just for the concrete to cure, so we get strength on it before we put vehicles back on it. So we'll be coordinating with any impacted residents directly, making sure you got all the cars that you need to get out of your garage out of the garage and before any removals take place. And then we'll be communicating with you about when you can access that again. So real quick synopsis of the type of work that we're talking about here. So these are asphalt streets. Mill and overlay projects are a very good way to prolong the life of the street at a relatively reduced cost compared to a full reconstruct. Okay. So what the process is the contractor will come in, they'll do the concrete work. So that will include the pedestrian crosswalks, sidewalk, curb and gutter, driveways, etc. They'll do all that in preparation. And then there will be some downtime. So you're going to see that concrete activity, concrete crews come in. There's going to be a couple of weeks of downtime between when the concrete crews get done and when the asphalt crews come in. So don't think that they've abandoned you or neglected the project. It's typical. There will be a week or maybe 2 weeks where you won't see a lot of activity, but that's for the concrete to cure. Once the concrete's cured, they'll bring in a milling machine, which is the picture here on the top right, and they mill off, depending on what the contract specifications are, a certain thickness of the road. That gets milled off, trucked away. It is recyclable material, so it's reused later for other projects. And then the paving train comes in, which is the picture below that, comes in behind that and puts the road back. So once the milling and paving starts, that's usually within a week or so. You're going to see the road removed, the road repaved, and you'll be back to normal business. Everything the city does is very deliberate when it comes to how much they're spending versus how much return on investment they're expecting. And so that's why there's a variety within this project of thicknesses that we're looking at. But we're looking at anywhere between 5 to 15 years of extended life, depending on how intense the repair work is. I think that pretty much covers this slide as well. So move on to probably what I'm guessing most people are most interested in here is the resident participation option. So you probably have seen paint marks out there. Our crews have been out. We've marked out the curb and driveway and sidewalk removals and replacements that are going to be part of what I would call the core contract, the city responsible costs. There is an opportunity for residents that want to contribute to the project to either have their driveway repaired between the sidewalk and the garage, and also to lower the curb at the drive approach to, lessen that, make that transition a little bit smoother into the road. So there is a URL to sign up for an in-person meeting to talk about your specific situation. So I know we have, I think, over 40 people already signed up. So
Yeah,
we'll be,
over 50 at this point.
is it 50 now? Yeah, so we'll be doing those one-on-one. I would ask that we don't try to muddy the waters tonight with this at-large meeting with those specifics. If you have questions about your property, we will meet with you and go over exactly what's scheduled in front of your house and what your options are. So that is going to be a big piece of the project, right? And so what we want to do is coordinate that obviously with the balance of the work, so there's minimal disruption. Contractor comes in one time, saw cuts the concrete, does all the replacements, and then does the road repair after that. So if you haven't had an opportunity to do the Google poll to let us know that you're interested in at least discussing your options, please do that. And between Chris and me and the rest of the OHM team, along with the city, we'll meet with you one-on-one to talk about what options you have there. One of the nice things that we're actually excited to be able to offer is, because the work is going to be, if you do opt into the program, because it's going to be completed under the city contract, that comes with it city oversight, and they utilize OHM to help them with that, and then also a 2-year maintenance guarantee bond. So essentially, if the concrete cracks prematurely, you're covered under those guarantees that are part of the city contract. So you don't have to worry about that, and you don't have to fight with the contractor one-on-one. You're going to have the city, behind you on that.
And Marcus, I just copied the link into the chat if anyone wants to copy it or fill it out when we're done here.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple of quick FAQs that usually come up that we just wanted to address in advance. I mentioned earlier, if concrete work is happening in your driveway or in front of it, you're looking at probably about a week where you're going to be not able to access the drive, but that will again be coordinated with you directly as a homeowner. Trash pickup with every city project, that's coordinated. It's in the contract that the contractor has to accommodate that. So if a road is closed because of their operations and they need to, pull the totes to the end of the construction zone to get them picked up, they'll do that. Having your address on them never hurts. So we do recommend that. And then mail really shouldn't be impacted because of the gang boxes are, beyond the limits of the paving. We don't expect any significant impact to your mail delivery. A couple other questions that come up. So trees, we do know that there are a handful of trees that are going to be impacted for sure. Some of the sidewalk you may have noticed if you're walking your dog around the neighborhood, and there's tented sidewalk that's due to tree roots. So until that sidewalk is removed and the actual tree root structure is evaluated by an arborist, we don't know for sure if a tree will survive what it's going to take to put that sidewalk back and eliminate that trip hazard. So we do know that there's a handful of trees that we already know need to be removed. Just understand that once we get in there, start the excavation, the removals There may be a few more that have to go just because the tree wouldn't survive the sidewalk work. And then Chris's number is here again, so he's going to be your number one guy. If you have special needs, if you have a doctor appointment, if you have an elderly parent that needs, doctor visits, whatever it is, we will make sure that you guys have access, that you're accommodated. You just need to let Chris know that in advance. And the more advance notice you can give us, the better. It gives us more of an opportunity to plan around that. So I guess that's the message. Please understand we're looking to work with the residents, accommodate whatever your needs are, but the sooner you can let us know if you know for sure that you got, a special event on a certain day, let us know and we'll work with the contractor to make that accommodation. That concludes the prearranged portion of the meeting. So I don't know, Justin, if there's anything you feel like I might have missed that you wanted to. I'll just stop sharing here.
Yeah, so on this project, once they mill and remove, up to the 5 inches or 5.5, depending on what the thickness is and what area you're in, but potentially up to 5.5. In this case, will the contractor put down millings for folks to access their driveway? Should it be the case where they don't mill and then replace on the same day?
Yes, great question. Yes, we have what we call maintenance aggregate in the contract. So basically temporary ramping to allow that access in between when they do the removals and the final repaving.
I'll ask some of the questions that I know folks all want to know, even though I know the answer. When they come by with the mill, typically how long would someone be unable to access their driveway when the mill is going by?
20 minutes or so that operation.
Yeah, it's a quick operation, so they'll work with you.
And same with when they're paving.
Paving will be a little bit longer. You have to wait till the breakdown roller is done, then you could get in. So that could be a couple hours.
And just for everyone who joined us after the fact, when concrete is laid, typically around a week before folks will be able to access the driveway. If you have concrete work in your driveway or sidewalk, that would prevent you from accessing your garage. And if you folks have questions, you can throw them in the chat or raise your hand and we'll unmute you.
I see one in the chat. When will the work happen? So we don't have a schedule from the contractor yet, but the contract is set up. Basically, the work is required to be completed between June 15th and August 15th, essentially. Once we have a more detailed schedule from the contractor, that will be made available.
Yeah, we typically have another round of letters that go out prior to the start of the project with more detail, including the stuff that we covered today, and more details on the schedule and anticipated paving dates.
I would just say, generally speaking, if we don't know that there's an issue, we can't fix it. So if there are any issues, please reach out. You have Chris's numbers in the presentation. It'll be available on the city website as well. you guys, you know, you have to let us know if if the contractor is doing anything that's impacting you beyond what we've already, you know, discussed. If you let us know, we can work with you. But if we don't know that you're inconvenienced, then, you know, it's hard for us to react to that. So please reach out. We will have anytime there's work happening, OHM will have an inspector on site. So we do ask that you reach out either to Chris directly or to the OHM representative that's going to be on site. We do ask that you don't reach out to the contractor directly. You know, they're going to do whatever is directed by the city through OHM. So if you let us know, we can make sure that gets coordinated. I don't know, Chris, if you have anything to add to that or not.
No, that's the best way to handle any questions you have first, you know, through me.
There were a couple of other questions that came in. One is a range of costs that you can share on what it might take to lower the curb if someone chooses to opt in?
So that's going to depend on what work is required through the city contract. So I think that's a good example where we'd just like to meet with you personally and talk about that. Because there's a couple of different scenarios that could impact that cost. And rather than try to cover all those, I would just prefer that we have an on-site meeting with you, look at your situation specifically.
For personal driveways, what is under the contract? 4-inch versus 6-inch?
6-inch.
Is it 6-inch?
Yeah, everything, driveways and sidewalk, through the drive, across the driveway is all 6-inch specification.
Okay. There are markings on the sidewalk in front of my drive. Do you know what it means? There's an X on one paver.
I'm not sure what you mean by one paver. But typically anything that's painted up is scheduled for removal and replacement as part of the city project. We didn't paint anything up that would be a resident optional add-on. So if you see paint out there, that's included in the what I call the base project.
Yeah, and then they probably meant flag. A flag,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, if you see paint out there, that's included in the city contract. And then you have the option to, if you want to potentially add to that.
Is there a timeline for Wellington Drive since it was not on the list? The city has a 4-year roads plan, and I don't believe Wellington is currently on that plan. That plan extends through summer of 2028 construction. So likely the earliest it would be is summer of 2029. Will curbs be fixed that have low spots and bad drainage? I think you guys tried to catch as much of that as possible, correct, Marcus?
That's correct.
If you see a spot that you'd like to have us evaluate before the project gets going, you can contact Chris at the phone number that was provided, and we can go take a look. The OHM and city team did walk the neighborhoods to look at the curb and sidewalk, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they did try to catch as much of that as possible.
Yep, we did. That's true. But you guys live there, right? So we might not have been there right after a rain. So if you're aware of an issue or you think there's an issue for something that's not painted out for replacement, please let us know, and we'll evaluate it and make a decision.
asking about Cambridge. Cambridge is in the same situation as Wellington. It is not currently in the current 4-year roads plan. So the earliest it could be is summer of 2029, but the out years have still to be evaluated. There are eroding sidewalks in Orchard River Hills. They have not been marked. Will they be replaced? This is an area that was ground for levelness last year. If it isn't marked, it may still be a candidate for a city crew to replace that concrete. If you've already submitted it, I know Tim has a list. Tim
Yeah, we
Stewart.
Justin, we got a list of things with the DPW. So I'd have to go check it once I get into work tomorrow, but I know that they worked on and they've added a couple more over the last couple of weeks. So, whoever this person, Laura W., if you want to call the DPW tomorrow and just ask them and give them your address, we can come take a look and see. Or actually, if you call tomorrow, we can see if it's on our list.
Yeah. So you pay for the sidewalk only. Did this change the lower portion when Dexter became a city? So the portion of the driveway between the road and the sidewalk, the city will replace if it is in failing condition. If it is still in good condition and it hasn't been marked and it is set to be replaced because you want to lower the curb, that will be a resident cost. And that is all the questions that I have. Marcus, Chris, Tim, is there anything you guys would like to add before we call it?
No, I don't have anything else. I would just like to really encourage the residents. Like I said before, we can only react to what we're aware of, right? So please let us know if something's not going right or you have a concern, reach out to us and we can address it. What we really don't want is, unhappy residents that are seeing something they don't agree with and not saying anything. Okay. So let us know and we will, work with the contractor to get whatever issues that you might have, get them corrected as the project's going on.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to say is that, we're not necessarily perfect. So we try our best to do what we can do. That's why, like Marcus is saying, just let us know. We'll go out there, take a look, evaluate it. And if it's something that's dire straits needs to be taken care of, we will take care of it and do what we got to do. And then for some reason, something does get mixed or missed for some reason, like someone's not on and someone hears about this, also call the DPW and call myself at all times too. We'd come take a look. If it's after the project, I could always put on the list with the DPW to do too. That's something we started up last year and we're going to keep doing it. It was successful last year, so we'll keep going and moving on with it. But yeah, please give us a call at any time.
Yeah, don't be shy.
So this presentation is being recorded. So we will post it to the city's YouTube channel, and then we'll get it posted to the city's website with a link to the YouTube channel. Are we sharing the contract for review by residents?
Good question. I don't know. I don't see why not. I mean, we have a copy of it. It can be made available.
Yeah, we do still have to get the contract book signed first.
Yeah, we don't have them back from Ruth Riley yet, but once they're available, I think a copy will be at City Hall, will be available for review of anyone that wants to stop by and take a look.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think that brings us to the end of the presentation. Again, if anybody has any questions, reach out to Chris, reach out to Tim, reach out to myself, reach out to Marcus, and we'll do our best to answer whatever questions you have. Thank you everybody for coming tonight, for spending a half hour with us this evening, and we look forward to a very smooth project, or as smooth as road projects can be, right?
Right.
Construction is always disruptive, but we do our best to try to minimize that.
Absolutely. All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.